The Sharingan is a unique dojutsu. Within the series, it's always been tied to the concept of love. Does that surprise you? Well, it shouldn't. Sharingan are awakened by emotion, and the emotions that bring about its awakening are love and hate. They represent within their user their emotional growth, physical representations of emotional scars. If someone possesses a Mangekyo Sharingan, you can be sure that they've seen some things with it. They have at times been called heavenly eyes that see the truth of all creation without obstruction. And what is it that they see? The truth about love, that if you choose to open your heart and love someone, your heart will always be hurt. Because the love between two people can never last, as like us, it is a finite concept with a birth and an end. These concepts surround the Sharingan and mark the reason why the Uchiha have always been so interesting. And in a world where magical eyes pervade the existence of almost every major clan, you can bet that there are times when these eyes get thrown around from person to person. In a way, the Sharingan shows all aspects of love, its awakening, its death, those who have it, and those who covet it. Whatever the case, I'm going to explore a world in which Naruto and Sasuke decide to go the way of Kakashi and Obito. Let's see what happens if Sasuke gave Naruto one of his Sharingan.
Welcome to the Amagi! Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Also, we just released some brand new merch. If you'd like to show your support for the channel even further while at the same time repping stylish clothing, be sure to check that out as well. The store is linked below. YouTube's been unsubscribing users from channels lately, so if you're a fan of us, please do us a favor and double check to see if you're still subscribed. It only takes a second, and it helps us a ton here at Amagi. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video.
The story starts in the same place that it always starts, the academy. Now, Naruto wasn't the sharpest crayon in the bow, and he always had a hard time keeping up with anything. He had nothing and nobody, and perhaps that's what drew Sasuke towards him. Now, Sasuke also had nobody and nothing, but he did have one thing: his skills. Natural prodigious abilities. These he inherited from his Uchiha genes. And due to some past trauma involving his brother, Sasuke could see the world for what it was. However, Sasuke was not changed by this quite as much as you would think. This Sasuke, in this far-flung world where we find ourselves, chose not to indulge in hatred. He chose not to base his entire life around finding and killing his brother. His dreams were far simpler. He just wanted to bring his clan back. He wanted a future. He wanted to have a family, and this didn't seem out of the question for him by any means. He had suitors left and right. He was far too young to be playing that game though, and he knew that he couldn't just coast off the fame that the Uchiha clan had built up in the past. Instead, he needed to build off his own merit, perhaps become the Hokage, grow closer with members of other clans. This led him to meeting Hinata and introducing himself formally as the head of the Uchiha clan, a clan that currently consisted of one person. To most, they thought this was adorable, even the other clan heads, but for Sasuke, it wasn't a game. This was serious. He was setting himself up for the future. He wanted his clan to become the most prestigious clan in all of Konoha. That was the focus, and that laser focus was what drew so many girls to him. He knew what he wanted, and he was working tirelessly for it. Naruto, on the other hand, he barely knew what he wanted. To be Hokage? Maybe. This Naruto was a little different too. This Naruto was one who had let his loneliness eat at him. One that had given up on ever being cared for by the village and its people. He had parents once, but he couldn't remember them. And that was a scar that was rent open for him every night as he laid in bed in a quiet, empty apartment building. As he traveled to school, the adults spat upon him. As he played at the park, the other kids bullied him. Why did they hate him? Was it because he was an orphan? Maybe it was because he had yellow hair. No, that couldn't be it. Ino Yamanaka had yellow hair. Sakura had pink hair. And there were other orphans too, like Sasuke. So why was it that they hated him? Maybe they hated him because of his sometimes tattoo. He had noticed it every time he would get upset, and he'd get a tattoo on his stomach that would show up only sometimes. So he called it his sometimes tattoo, and it always caused his eyes to turn red. Maybe he was cursed. Perhaps he'd killed his parents. Could be that he was a demon. That's what everyone else said. It was for these reasons that Naruto was a bit of a recluse. Well, he was a lot of a recluse. He only ever left his home on certain occasions. Whenever he needed something to eat, and whenever he went to school. He always stopped by Ichiraku Ramen to eat. The man there was nice. He always had a smile and a special bowl of ramen waiting for him, so that was really the only time Naruto could get any real human contact. Any that was meaningful at least. Whenever he came to the academy, he always stayed in the back, towards the corner. He studied hard and listened well, but the teacher rarely called on him, and when he did, Naruto tended not to say anything, mostly because anything he did would get him laughed at. If he was wrong, they would laugh. If he was right, the other kids would get angry. So Naruto stopped trying. Because of that, Naruto got a reputation as being dumb or stupid. On days where he would need to perform in front of the class, he would always come up with an excuse. He had expired milk at the ready for days like that, so he could be legitimately sick and worm his way out. This dog was beaten into a corner, but instead of biting back at the feet that kicked it, the dog just stopped trying. It stayed in the corner. It remained curled up, no longer searching for love or attention. It just didn't want to be kicked again, so it avoided confrontation. This led to Naruto seeming really shy. Many girls would see him and laugh as he went down the halls, but there was always one that never did. Sakura Haruno. Naruto never noticed her, and if he ever did, he didn't show it. She couldn't help but watch him being tormented and made fun of by the other kids, and she hated it. This Sakura was a little different as well. Less laser-focused only on Sasuke and her love life, this Sakura saw the world as it was without the need of the Sharingan's blessing. She saw how love was a commodity to be bartered, but most tragic of all, she knew that there were some who just couldn't afford it. Some who didn't have a way to get it. She knew people who were just plain out of luck, and Naruto was one of these people. She suspected that love was partly to blame for what he was suffering through, not because everyone gave it to him, but because everyone was too afraid to lose their own. One person made fun, and then another, just to look cool. Then a whole squad did it out of fear of being rejected, and everyone was desensitized by the constant abuse that they were dishing out to realize how they were pushing the fear of not being loved off on a child that wasn't actually loved. That moment made her want to cry. As Naruto passed up to his corner in the room, she viewed his face. A face that showed nervousness. A face that said, I don't know if I can keep doing this. As he passed by, her gaze met Sasuke's. He was the only boy in class that shared that same look on his face as her. A face that didn't laugh. A face that didn't antagonize or torment. She and he watched Naruto sit down away from the class and sort of hide his face, trying to pretend that he wasn't there, as everyone around him happily obliged the emptiness of his presence without sparing old what's-his-face a second thought. Sasuke looked to Sakura, and he stood up. She watched him. Sasuke stepped up the stairs towards the corner. He took a seat at the desk beside Naruto. The boy in orange raised his head for a moment and looked over at the last survivor of a dead clan. His eyes were a mix of confusion and fear, a cocktail of negative anticipation. A puppy in the corner waiting to be kicked again. Sasuke sat there for a moment. Hi. I'm Sasuke. Those 3 words changed Naruto's life forever. As simple as they were, those 3 words did save his life. He sat there, his face of confusion and fear masking skepticism as Sasuke smiled at him. What is this? He asked within himself. Is this a trick? What's the punchline? When do I become the butt of this joke? Suddenly, Sakura made her way up and just stood there in front of Naruto's desk. She smiled in a light fashion as Naruto gently recoiled. Hi, she said. Can we sit with you, Naruto? In his head, his mind was set aflame. If there had been smoke detectors in the classroom that actually worked, they would have gone off from all the smoke leaving Naruto's ears. Still, Naruto had said nothing. He had not told his name, yet she knew it. She knew his name and asked if she could sit with him. He was never used to being addressed like this. He hated to hear his own name spoken because generally when someone said Naruto, it was either to make fun of him or to call him up or to scold him for something he did or didn't do. To a point, he cringed when she asked, but he was also too timid to tell her no. So he nodded with a voice so light that it seemed afraid to be heard. He spoke. Yes. She smiled and came up and sat beside Sasuke, who was already pulling things out of his backpack. Naruto's face was a little red and he leaned up against the wall, closer to the window, as if he were securing an escape route the moment this turned sour. He was still distrustful. Time passed and class would begin. Sasuke would just sit back in his chair, tapping a pencil like a drummer on the long shared desk that he, Naruto, and Sakura shared. Sakura was leaned forward, both elbows on the desk, listening to the teacher. Naruto kept looking to them, wondering when this was going to go bad. It always did. Nobody ever wanted to be near him, so why would they start now? It was suddenly in that moment when Iruka called out to him. Naruto, you spacing out up there? Naruto shook his head. Iruka nodded. Okay then, if that's the case, what's the answer? Huh? Naruto was confused. Iruka cleared his throat as the rest of the class giggled at Naruto's cluelessness. This caused Naruto to once again retreat within himself. Iruka repeated, if you were paying attention, what's the answer? Naruto was frozen for a moment. Sasuke looked over to him and whispered, Kanabi Bridge. Naruto heard it and then looked to Iruka. Kanabi Bridge? Iruka's head turned a bit as he heard it and a smile formed. Indeed. That is correct. Seems you were paying attention. Good job, Naruto. Naruto's face lit up. He didn't smile, but his face showed a look as if he were experiencing something for the first time. Positive affirmation. For the second time today, someone had said his name and it wasn't in a negative way. He looked to Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke's head on the table, he was hiding his smile with his arms well, but his eyes told all. Sakura, on the other side of him, gave a slight fist pump and a smile. Naruto almost smiled there, but still, a part of his heart remained guarded. This is another elaborate trick. As class came to a close, it was time for lunch. Iruka looked up to the clock as his time teaching came closer to an end. Alright, break time. Time for lunch. As he said those words, everyone began to pull out their food, including Sakura and Sasuke. Naruto pulled out his, too. Sakura looked over. What are you eating today, Naruto? He looked at her. He showed her. It was a small sandwich, a couple cookies, and potato chips. She smiled. Looks yummy. He began pushing it to her. She shook her head. Huh? No, you eat it. I just think it looks good. I got something similar. Peanut butter and jelly with extra jelly. Jelly's the best part. All the while, Sasuke was pulling something else out. He had a fat stack of crackers, some meat and cheese, a big dill pickle, and a bag of chips of his own. He made a cracker by putting some meat and cheese on it. He put one into Sakura's bento box and one into Naruto's. You should try it. It tastes pretty good. Just about then, one of the other students, a boy of larger proportions, likely held back a little too long, walked over to them with his posse of hype men. What do we have here? He said, looking into Naruto's bento. Ew, what is that? Smells like eggs. The bully scoffed. But hey, I'll try anything once. He picked up Naruto's sandwich and took a bite out of it before dropping it back in his box. Yuck, not for me. Garbage seems perfect for you though, eat up. Naruto looked at his sandwich with a bit of disgust. The bully grabbed Naruto by the hair and pushed his face into the box. I said eat up! Letting go, Naruto pulled his head back, his face covered in egg, his eyes starting to well up as his face turned red. The bully leaned forward. Aw, little fish cake gonna cry? Gonna run home crying to mommy? Oh yeah, I forgot. You don't have one. The look on Naruto's face hit like a dump truck, and with that, Sasuke was out of his seat. Crawling over the desk with his Sharingan active, he pushed off the table right into the bully and his posse, knocking them down a few levels. They hit the tables and went in all directions, trying to get away. All except the head bully who was caught in Sasuke's grasp. Holding him by the collar, he mercilessly wailed on him, his fist in constant movement, his knuckles starting to get a little bloody. Whether it was the bully's blood or Sasuke's was unknown, but he continued to beat into him until Iruka came over and pulled him off the bully. Of course, the hype men and bully all blamed Sasuke, saying that he started it. He and Naruto both. Iruka would look to Naruto. Well then, if that's the case, then you two can finish your lunch in the Hokage's office. Sakura's hand shot up. Iruka looked to her. Yes, Miss Haruno? Then she spoke. I called the boy a slimeball. I still think he's a slimeball, and I hope Sasuke beats his butt again. Iruka sighed. Then you can also go to the office until the end of the day. They were sent to the office. Hiruzen was not there, of course. He was off watching the building of some of the structure that would bring more revenue to the village. But here they sat at the Hokage's desk in their own chairs and ready to eat again. Hiruka's lectures are snooze fests anyway, Sasuke said. Naruto looked down at his box of ruined sandwich. He still had a bit of egg on his face and in his hair. Sakura wiped it off with her napkin. She and Sasuke looked to his sandwich. You don't have to eat that if you don't want to, Naruto, Sasuke said. Naruto obviously didn't want to, but what other choice did he have? His stomach audibly rumbled. He pushed the box away. Sasuke stood, took the box, and dumped the sandwich. He brought the box back and began to put some of his crackers and lunch meat into Naruto's box. Sakura saw this and how much food Sasuke was giving over, so she cut her own PB&J into thirds and gave one to Naruto and the other to Sasuke, who in turn gave her some crackers and sandwich meat. Sasuke and Sakura then ready to eat when they heard something. A snuffle. They each sat up and looked over to each other and then looked at Naruto, who was leaning forward a bit over his box, crying. Sakura was aghast. Sasuke put his hand on Naruto's back. If you don't like it, you don't have to eat it. Naruto quickly pulled out the cookies he brought with him and gave one to Sasuke and Sakura each. Through his tears, he was smiling. Sakura was fighting it. She was trying to hold it together, but upon taking the cookies, her eyes ran over too. She couldn't believe how bad the condition of this boy's heart was. It made her want to cry. So many times she had thought that her parents were annoying, that they embarrassed her, were overly demanding. Now she didn't think that. She was just happy to have them. Seeing Naruto, she knew that there were some out there who had nothing. She felt truly blessed to have her family, and now all she wanted was to be this boy's friend and bring so much of that excess of love that she lived in to Naruto so he might be happy. Sasuke rubbed his back and pulled him into a hug. I know what it's like to have nobody, Sasuke said. I don't want you feeling like that anymore. You have us. We'll be your family. Friends to the end. Family by oath, not blood. Sakura leaned over and joined the hug as well. And please excuse me while I pause the story for a quick sec. I just gotta say something really quick. I know many of our viewers are still in school. So many kids are going to school talking about a shared interest in our favorite anime about ninjas. It's important for all of us to remember what Naruto is about. It's about learning to love others. That is the ninja way. Bullying's a real problem in our academic system. Many people don't even notice the signs of it, but it really can hurt people. That's why I just want to say, if you see someone being bullied, tell an adult or tell someone you can trust. And if you see anyone who doesn't have a friend, be that friend. Everyone needs a friend, and the best thing about that is that we never run out of slots for it. You never know how you could change a life for the better just by saying hi. And if you're upset, maybe you're the one being bullied. Maybe you are the bully. It's not too late. There's always time to change things and be better. And if you're upset, don't be silent. Reach out. There's no shame in it. We here at the Amagi care for our viewers, each and every one of you. You're like family to us, and that's why we enjoy entertaining you so much. We love you, and we want you to love others too. After all, that's my personal nindo, my ninja way, to love others as I would love myself and to treat them the same. Anyway, thanks for listening to this short spiel. Let's get back to the story. As the day came to a close and they were finally allowed to leave, Hiruzen appeared in the office where Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were waiting. What happened this time? Sakura would explain it to him. Some boy in class was bullying Naruto, and Sasuke stood up for him, but was punished because of it. Hiruzen looked to them. Well, to let you know, that boy has a broken arm. Sasuke, that was not the way to deal with it, but still, you did good sticking up for Naruto. One of the others in class mentioned that you were just defending him, so I'm going to let you off this time. Next time it happens, tell Irika about it. Sasuke nodded. They were then dismissed and allowed to leave. Naruto walked his own way back towards his apartment that he had. He lived a little further off from Sasuke and Sakura, but Sasuke decided to go the extra mile with him. Sakura had to turn towards her house as she didn't want her family missing her, but she wished them both a good day and left. Sasuke followed Naruto home to his apartment and walked in with him. This is where you live. It's not too much different from where I live. Naruto dropped his backpack by the door and slipped out of his open-toed boots and onto the tatami carpet. Sasuke followed suit. He walked in too. So, what do you do for fun? Naruto turned on the stove and began to heat up water. Sasuke would come to a table where he'd see sheets of paper. On that paper were drawings of foxes, fully colored in and actually well shadowed. Wow, these are awesome. Did you draw them? Naruto looked back with a little bit of a smile and nodded. Grabbing a step stool, he stepped up to the cabinet and pulled the door open to show a hilarious number of ramen cups, bowls, and packets. He pulled down 2 instant noodle cups. He walked over and presented one to Sasuke. Sasuke smiled and took it. Thank you. He sat down by the table and waited. Naruto would open the fridge and pull out 2 soft drinks. He would put one on the table for Sasuke and one on the other side for himself. All the while, Sasuke began to stack up the drawings and move them to another table, putting the colored pencils back in the box and placing them nearby. After some time passed, Naruto returned with a kettle of boiling water. He began to pour that steaming water into the cups. He then closed the lid again on both of them and sat some chopsticks on top and got a timer ready and twisted it about. Having done this nearly every day, he no longer needed to look at the packaging to see how long to cook it, he just twisted the dial. They waited there. Sasuke looked around the apartment. Naruto sat with his chin on his arms and stared at the ramen cup with gleeful anticipation. Sasuke looked back at him. How long have you lived on your own? He asked, trying to gently dance around the question. Naruto looked over. All my life. Sasuke was struck by that. You mean you've always lived like this? Naruto nodded. Sometimes Mr. Hiruzen comes over to pay me a visit. He brings me money, checks up on me, and every October he stops by with some cake and takes me to Ichiraku. Sasuke would cock his head. What's so important about October? Naruto shrugged. He told me that it was the month I was born. Sasuke smiled. Ah, mine's July 23rd. Naruto smiled about that. That's soon. Sasuke nodded. And so he and Naruto just hung out for a little while. After all, Sasuke had nowhere to go, and there wasn't really anyone at home to miss him. So honestly, this was as good for Sasuke as it was for Naruto. After supper, they watched TV and played a few video games. Sasuke, of course, could absolutely smash Naruto in any game they played, as he had use of his Sharingan. Naruto would smile and make a bit of a habit of covering Sasuke's eyes as they rounded a corner in Hashirama Cart 46. The boys just had a lot of fun. But as night rolled in, Sasuke knew he had to leave and go home. After all, it was bedtime and he hadn't even had a shower yet. So he stood and turned. Well, I'll see you later, Naruto. Naruto would look over. Ah, you're leaving? Sasuke nodded. Yeah, but just until tomorrow. I'll come pick you up. We can go to school together. Naruto smiled. Okay, and maybe tomorrow. Naruto trailed off. Sasuke looked back at him. Naruto looked back up at him from the ground. Maybe we can ask Sakura to come and play with us. Sasuke smiled. You can bet on it. Maybe we'll have a sleepover. Wouldn't that be fun? Naruto seemed excited. As Sasuke left into the night, he traveled down the road. He turned back to see Naruto smiling in the window, waving at him. He waved back. This was a far cry from what Naruto had been previously. He was more open and happy. It made Sasuke happy. And honestly, Sasuke hadn't been this happy in a long time. He hadn't looked forward to going to school like this even once in his life. He made his way home to shower and rest, and all the while he didn't notice that in the window of the Hokage's residence Hiruzen stood. He looked out over this and smiled as he took a puff from his pipe. This is what he was hoping for Naruto. He was hoping that he would make a true friend. When he forbade all in the village from ever speaking of Naruto and the Nine Tails again, he was hoping that eventually it would lead to the next generation developing less to fear the monster he had and to love the boy that he was. Hiruzen could admit that there were a few stumbling blocks along the way, but by the end Naruto had found two true friends. He kept that in mind for the future. If these three ever became fully fledged shinobi, he wanted them to be on the same team. He knew the perfect candidate for Jonin, someone who understood what it was to cherish friends and the meaning behind teamwork. He returned to his desk, dimly lit by a single lantern, and continued his work. As the night came though, Sasuke laid in bed. His sheets were up to his chin, but slowly his head turned and his fingers made an appearance. With another quick turn of his head, his feet straightened and he pulled the sheets down a bit as his arms raised above his head. His face was twisted as he grunted. Within his mind's eye, he witnessed it. A dark night. The street stained black with darkness spilling out of every home in the Uchiha compound. The skies were red, and hovering just above the clouds was the red moon. Its surface changed to look like a Sharingan staring down at him. He was scared. Alone. He ran for home. Stepping in, he saw many of the belongings of his family smashed and scattered, picture frames broken and shredded. He saw from the steps a steady stream of blood, like a river slowly making its way down each individual step, congealed just enough that gravity seemed to take 3 seconds to pull it down from stair to stair. In his mind, he knew that something had happened, but his weak heart and scared demeanor begged him to find Mom and Dad. He ran up the stairs, despite Death's omen warning him to turn back for the better. He rushed up and found the river of blood traveling down the hallway and turning abruptly into his parents' room from which it seemed to flow. The wood creaked below him like an angry lion, each step of his tiny feet growling, giving away his position to all the monsters in the shadows. As he stepped forward, dread like impending doom weighed on him like a coat of lead. Rounding the corner, he saw a single man standing there in the dark room, a demon or shadow figure within a haunted house. From the window poured more crimson light as the moon, now changed to that of a Mangekyo Sharingan, poured in from outside. The man stood there, his legs in a strong and sure stance. Between the figure's feet, Sasuke caught glimpse of his parents. Their cold and lifeless eyes glazed over, their faces eternally caught in the terror of their slaughter. Sasuke wanted to move, but no sound came out of his mouth. He wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't work. It was as if he were frozen in ice. Slowly, the figure turned around. The face, shriveled up and no longer human. The eyes, glowing red from center to edges. The being turned around and a smile pulled up its cheeks. Teeth like 1,000 razor blades, tongue like a snake. Sasuke, a voice whispered as the being turned to face him. Sasuke recognized it as the face of his brother Itachi. But something was wrong. Something had changed. He had become possessed. "Sasuke, run," came a whisper. The pale face of his dead mother, her eyes bearing no spark. Her lips curled up and spoke. "Sasuke, run." Suddenly he was free. He turned to run and Itachi was behind him in a flash. From his parents' room, red light and a dozen crows spilled out as the deep voice of his brother spoke.
"Sasuke."
It taunted him as he walked down the hall.
"Come and give your brother a hug."
The man, barely recognizable as Itachi anymore, walked nonchalantly down the hall, twirling his blade in his hand. Sasuke ran as hard and as far as he could. Breaking through the wall, he landed outside in front of a set of graves. The moon overhead, still red and glowing like genjutsu. The tiny child, eyes full of tears, looked upon the gravestones. Fugaku Uchiha, Makoto Uchiha, they said, but the one in front of him bore another name, Sasuke Uchiha. His eyes full of terror as he looked upon his own name, the epitaph reading, "As Cain killed Abel, so too shall Itachi be cursed." Suddenly, from the grave below, burst the arms and face of the demon Itachi, wrapping his arms around the boy, intent to drag him to hell with him. Sasuke screamed and woke up screaming. His Sharingan were active and his mind was racing, his brain telling him that he was still in danger. His quick and heavy breathing began to relax a bit as his mind worked all the logic out and put the pieces together. He had been sleeping. He'd been sleeping. It was a nightmare. He attempted to sleep, but his paranoia was still screaming in his ear, reminding him that Itachi was out there, and that he was waiting for Sasuke to awaken his Mangekyo. Sasuke tried with all of his might to sleep, but alas, it did not come. The next day was not so easy. He was up with the sun, already dressed and fed by the time he normally got up. Grabbing his things, he decided to go on his way. I think I'll stop it here for today. Yeah, I know. I said that Sasuke was going to give Naruto the Sharingan, but he never did. Well, that's because this, my friends, is destined for more than one part. I was writing this on the fly, and after getting lost in the story, I sorta ran out of time. So I just decided to extend this into another episode. After all, we gotta have a proper build-up, now don't we? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. I won't lie, I got a little teary-eyed too as I made this. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this story and where you'd like to see it go.
Did you enjoy our video? Well, then be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.